So I'm at that point. Most of my friends are at that age where we all have kids similar ages, and we just get them all together, let them wild out, have fun. And I didn't think we were gonna have another fire this year, but our buddies who bought the house built this nice fire pit. They had all this wood. It was dry. It was perfect wood. So I got voted to build the fire. It was incredible. Everybody was so warm. It was freezing out, but like, yeah, it was a good time. Anyways, guys, so the market is still moving up. I spent probably, I don't know, maybe a half hour looking at sentiment indicators over the weekend, mostly Sunday, and there's still a lot of sentiment pushing higher. When I start to see extremes, that's when you look for rug pull, and I think we could get that potentially this week. We'll get a decent pullback on stocks. I see some interesting trend lines to watch that would indicate we'll get something like that. Again, I don't know for sure, but I can just look at my indicators and kind of start to anticipate where we're going to hit resistance. And as you can see right here, I'm sharing a SPY daily chart. And on that daily chart, we have the major daily trend lines we should be looking at. There's a very flat, small candle right here because we gapped up. And we are hitting a major point of resistance right now. So if I switch to, and as you can see on the money flow index, they had this up here. We've got the daily just trending above the weekly. Typically, when you're moving like that, either near the weekly, these lines are tight right here. We had a nice uptrend. Again, nice uptrend. Hit a peak, rolled over. It started to roll over a little bit, so I'm going to be watching that type of indicator to see when we might get a decent pullback. And I'm going to switch to the 5-minute and daily. And I'm going to try to get to my screen. All right, here we go. So here's the price action on SPY. Broke the 5-minute trend lines, gap up higher. Looking at the 5-minute chart with this gap, pull back to 307, we could continue to trend up today because there's still room. But if we look, let's see if this hourly candle has printed yet. Yeah, so let's turn off the hourly trend lines, turn on the daily trend lines. This this trend line here, and this major daily, we are just barely above it, right? And we're actually below this particular one. So, any type of rejection up here, potential for a fade is pretty good, right? Down to the 304 level. Actually, it's higher, 304.75. And don't forget, we always got the 9 EMA daily. A lot of times price action will pull back to the 9 EMA, and that's when momentum is hot. You look for potential dip buys. So this blue line that I'm highlighting right here, often I will go and set alerts. There's already a alert on this particular one, so I'm not going to delete it. And pullbacks here are opportunities to go long, right? So major trend lines, major 9 EMA. That is what we look for on the SPY. All right, over to Apple, 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 Apple. This is one that's just taking the markets higher and higher. So I'm pretty impressed. I'm sure everybody is as well with the type of price action we've had at Apple. This is very unusual, but often these types of aggressive moves will find tops. And as you can see, previous tops in Apple before a corrective down wave, downtrend, and dip buy opportunity, it moves pretty hot right at the end. And there was, obviously, there was this major trend line here, couldn't stay above it, rolled back over. We're now approaching another major weekly trend line level. And, if we get above this, this could be in the, low 260s. And then I would look for a potential pullback at that point. We're not there yet. As long as this thing continues to trend above the 9, prints nice daily candles. I mean, look at the kind of hanging man hammer. It's in a weird spot, located the way it was after this little pullback before earnings. But yeah, there's potential still for Apple to move higher if it gets above this weekly trend line. We've got this topping pattern from the double top in 2018 where we had that obviously massive pullback. Maybe we go and test that line, right? And if I wanted to plan on trading that, I would lock these lines, set alerts. It's super easy. And then I could, I like to make my time frames lower. I want to know when to get out. So I've got an alert set here. This is so simple, guys. So simple to do. And that's why I show you. All right. And that way, when you're trading this price action, you hit that major daily trend line, you're going to get a very nice heads up. So Apple, something I'm going to watch today. I'm also looking at Sprint. Sprint had earnings. Let's just go to the 5-minute versus the daily. We tapped the 200 SMA and the 50 on the daily and pulled back. Potential if we break this cluster of trend line drawings that we could retest that 650 again. Getting above that level would be a big daily breakout for Sprint. To start getting above that, at that point, I would clear a lot of these trend lines because we've been in a long downtrend for quite a while on Sprint. Right, we've had this big downtrend. We pulled back up. We're still below the 200 and the 50. We touched it before, and now we've recently retouched it. This hourly candle hasn't printed yet, so it's not really showing price where it is. Oh, it did actually. It's at 616. There we go. So I'm going to have one eye on Sprint today for a potential trade. And let's look at AMD, one of my favorites. So AMD hitting a very interesting former angular support, now resistance. I love to see these retracements where they retest these trend lines. Looking at where it's at now, we're very close to some pretty incredible highs. There's potential for topping up here when we're up in this this zone. But as we continue to make new highs, you got to go with the trend. If we're making new highs, you follow the trend and keep trading it. Looking at the 5-minute versus the daily on AMD, we're so far off that 9 EMA. We're already starting to get a little bit below our 50 SMA on our 5-minute. There's a potential for a pullback today and a potential dip buy off the 200 SMA 5-minute. So, wow, that's really close. Let's put that within maybe 10 cents. Yeah. So, potential dip buy here. If markets continue to be hot, there might be an opportunity on AMD. Looking at the daily trend lines, we've hit some major daily trend lines, and you'll see how price reacts near these daily trend lines all the time with TrendSpider. It's so simple that even a caveman can do it. and that's why I like it, especially on Mondays. So we are going to watch, let's switch over to these daily trend lines and put those back on the chart. Get rid of the weekly because there really aren't any. So yeah, we're kind of sandwiched right in between these two lines. And you could just see, right? We've got lots of wicks here. We could potentially put in another. I mean, the 9 EMA is quite a ways down, 9 weekly. You got money flow starting to trend down, and when you notice that kind of divergence, right? This is some hidden kind of bearish divergence when you get this rollover. This is potentially finding a top, especially after a big move where money flow kind of peaks. So I'm looking for pullbacks on these potential opportunities, obviously, to short intraday. They could really just be dip buys. I don't know, right? As long as we're above our momentum moving averages, it's hot. So that is something I'm looking at. UA, I was hoping that this was going to be a potential fun one to trade long. Earnings reaction was not good. We got a gap down now on the daily, and we've gapped down to some a daily trend line support going back to 2018. Again, actually even further towards the beginning of 2018, we've got this very strong bottoming. This actually broke through it, so there's potential downside risk, longer term downside risk for UA unless this is able to snap right back and pull closer to 1750 where our momentum moving averages are. UA will continue to probably sell off inside this green channel because we're just losing this major support. It's a big deal. So I'm likely not gonna trade this one until the dust kind of settles near here, and then maybe sell some calls. Maybe we'll do a bear call spread or something on this, or some kind of spread. That's what we do when we swing trade. That's a big deal. Oh, federal investigation. Oh, wonderful. Uh-oh, UA. You guys are in big trouble. Let's see. I haven't really checked Benzinga today. Shame on me. I checked a little bit during the gappers, and I'll go through and put in counting practices. Okay, so they actually had good earnings, so there was a beat. But that news has got investors obviously rattled. Let's see what else. What's on trade ideas? So CEI. CEI making some very nice moves pre-market. CEI consolidating on the 9 EMA daily. We bounced off the 20 daily. We're kind of sandwiched between these two daily moving averages. This is good consolidation, a nice fade. So as long as this stays above the 9 EMA daily, we see some big volume come up. There's a potential trade. This is a nice range, guys. 525, 530 from $4. Holding $4 would be significant. Where's our fibs at? Don't think we have any daily fibs down here yet spotted on the chart. What about daily trend lines? Oh, we got the daily trend lines though. Okay. All right. So really we want to see a break above 425 if we're going to get that potential for a double top intraday on the retesting the 20 EMA daily. This might be a really nice one to watch. And the float on this is extremely low, so it's going to be extremely volatile. The short float was high. I don't even know if that's accurate. You rarely see floats that are below 250,000. This says 167,000. So it could be a bit scary I don't recommend new traders trade ultra low floats like CEI because the spreads are often wide. The fills can be erratic, a little bit scary to trade. So we try to get new traders to pump the brakes when they look at low floats because you can't treat them the same as other stocks in the large cap territory with much larger floats. If you try to do that, you're likely to be burned. And we don't want you guys to get burned. We care about you too much, right? We are the Mr. Rogers of the stock market, where we try to talk nicely to you and be kind to your neighbor, pay it forward, share best practices with people. So that's CEI. The other one I was kind of looking at. All right, got a request for RDHL. What's up, Sunday? RDHL deflected off the daily trend line. I don't see. Wow, we're above the 200 down here. We don't need these both. So sometimes I like getting rid of some secondary trend lines because there's a daily moving average here. Trend lines a lot of times are created by daily moving averages. And depending on how far away the trend line is, I will clean up some of the chart because it's not inside of my trading plan, so I don't necessarily need the trend line on my chart. Right, so sometimes just hitting a daily trend line off a 5-minute candle will tell you an awful lot. So you can see the bulls knew to sell once they hit this daily trend line here. And I like to kind of skip around and check the daily off of. Now this is a real-time daily candle. Obviously market hasn't opened yet, but this is exactly what this daily candle would look like if it was 9:30 and we are currently trading right here. Very, very handy to see. And there we go. So this was this could be a potential major breakout turnaround for it, but you could see in the past 200 SMA has been a huge problem on the weekly, and that's what we're currently dealing with here. Why do I not see? That's the 200 daily support. So yeah, if we're able to maybe get above this 920 level, there could be some further momentum to trade. Let's look at this again really closely. I mean, that's quite a bit higher, though, in this 920 level. See, that's the trick. So, right, we saw this. This is why I like to go to shorter time frame and also check the weekly. Right, that's a weekly trend line there. So we want to know if we're breaking through that 200 weekly, and TrendSpider will let us know. And we want to know if we're breaking through. I actually have to switch to the main time frame being weekly. I think to draw this alert. That's kind of a little trick with TrendSpider. If you have trouble setting an alert on a time frame, it's probably needs to be switched to the main time frame before it'll let you set the alert. So there we go. So now we got that kind of marked out. And obviously watching our surging volume scanner is going to tell us this first. So Trade Ideas is having a test drive starting, I think, mid-November. You can sign up for it now, but it's $8 or $8.99 to get the full unlocked version of Trade Ideas. And that includes the AI. And if you guys are members of our community, you get to watch our Trade Ideas scanner in real time. So one of my favorite scanners to watch is I'm trying to drag it into the screen, is the surging volume scanner. So this window will show you volume today, the relative volume, the explosion of 5-minute volume, the social media activity, earnings date, and the other average volume stats. So I like to look at 3-month, longer term volume stat, and then the 10-day, so shorter term. And that can give you quite a bit of quick at a glance information when you're seeing stocks dominating the surging volume scanner, and you quickly pull up TrendSpider. You've got the best knowledge you can get because you're understanding what the volume and stats movement is, and then you've got automated trend lines and moving averages. So it's a pretty lethal combination. Again, you want to get familiar with the scanner so that you know more or less what types of stocks will be on them, and then you can almost really tell a lot of times what kind of charts they're going to have, because we've got VWAP scanners, we've got momentum high a day scanners, we've got scanners galore, really. So, for people that come into our community, you really got to take your time and look around and see what we got before you really settle in. And with the diversity that we have between the people that stream here and the tools that we have, there's a lot. There's something for everybody. So very cool. I'm gonna share the link to the test drive in the chat. So if you guys want to sign up, I would say just out of curiosity, just sign up and use it for, pay the $9, do the test drive. I don't know why that didn't hyperlink. Do the test drive just so you can see. There we go. There's the actual link. All right, so we got 2 minutes to the bell. Let's settle in. And CEI, low flow. I don't really want to get new traders stuck on this right now. I'm going to watch it with one eye. I'm really interested right now in what the SPY is going to do and what the VIX is going to do. So I'm going to be watching that kind of closely. It's Monday. We got a potential trade on Sprint. I feel like Sprint might be a little bit safer. AMD, potential pullback here. I still have open trade. I actually closed my bull call spread on MU, and I went with just calls on MU. I actually left the long side open. So I'm going to have to watch that and see if I need to stay in this trade or not. Yeah, let me cover that in a second too. All right, guys on YouTube, I will see you guys all later. Thanks for watching.